Thanks everyone for joining in from all around the world. We are no-code devs, and we're excited to have Hardik today to present, show us some really cool tips and tricks for animations and storytelling. A little bit about Hardik. I can let him introduce himself, but he's the founder of Visual Identity. He's won over 30 plus international design awards, and he works with clients from all over the world. So we're really lucky to have him today. Excited for the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Hardik, let him introduce himself and get started with the presentation.
Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you for the introduction, Art. And yeah, guys, I'm Hardik, and I'm the founder of Visual Identity. So I won't take a long time introducing myself. Maybe some of you guys already know me from the work that we've been doing in the past. But, I'd like to showcase something that we did recently, and it's really close to my heart. And as everybody here in the chat might be doing some really cool websites, and we know that a designer's work is judged by the most recent work he's done, because we just keep evolving every time. So I'd just like to show you guys one of the most recent websites that we made on Wix Studio, so that you get the kind of idea that the kind of work that we've been doing recently. So I'll just quickly share my screen. And this is Chain Labs, guys. I already have an agency that's called Visual Identity Studio, but this is a new venture that we recently started as a design studio to cater to blockchain companies. And this is a completely 3D and animated site that we created on Wix Studio. Yeah, this is on Wix Studio, though. So I'll just please scroll and show you something, how it actually looks. We've got a complete 3D scene integrated inside Wix. I know a lot of people complain that 3D is not possible on Wix, though it is. And this is how we've been catering to a lot of 3D and more animated websites. And out of these, all of the animated websites, we chose one that's Chain Labs to create for our own studio. And for the today's session, we're going to be breaking down some really cool animations from one of the same websites that we did for a client, and it's Compliance. So this was a crypto tax compliance company based in Belgium. And you might have probably seen this website, but if not, I'll just quickly take you through the homepage of this. So this is again on Wix Studio, and we did these animations using no-code WebGL, using an Econ Studio integrated into Wix. And all the animations that you're going to see here, even this animation, it's all built without a single line of code. This animation is without code, and we're going to be breaking down this animation today. And we're going to be breaking down this animation today. Just quickly go through the home page. Yeah. Okay. Shall we start breaking out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'll maybe start with this particular animation on Wix Studio, how we actually built it, and what was the reason behind creating such an animation. I mean, it looks cool, but there's a specific UX reason also behind it. So the reason that, why we chose to have an animation of this kind is you can see that, at a particular time, there is only 4 lines of text visible to you, and the other text, it just keeps fading in and fading out. So the actual focus of your eyes is on the text. And there's actually nothing there in the section without, except the text. That's because we really want the users to focus on this part of information, because this is really who the client is. This talks to the people, what the business is actually about. So let's get started. I'll just quickly open up the Wix editor. So guys who are using Wix Classic, this is on Wix Studio. So you might have to check your editor, which ones are you using. If you're already on Wix Studio, that's really cool. So I am kind of lazy when doing these things, and that's why I like to use repeaters so that I can keep things really fast. And that is how I also created this animation on the site as well, because you can just add the animation once and it added it adds to all of the other sections. So we just quickly add a repeater here and change it to a list so that I can have multiple lines here. We'll just quickly update it, hide, and okay. So to break down this animation, we just need to see what's happening here. So we see things fading out on scroll. We see things fading in on scroll. And then there's two layers of text that keeps revealing in at a certain height that we reach on the scroll. So once in the editor, what I'll do is I'll already set a particular animation on the item. Let's make it fade out. And because I want the text to be visible in the middle, what I'll do is I'll keep a space in the middle. So 50 is like the very middle spot, right? So what we do is I'll add a fade out animation on item and adjust the animation. And I want the whole thing to be available at 50. So I'll just shift it to 60 and we'll let it go till 100. So when I scroll, when it reaches 100, it fades out. And we just quickly give its opacity to 0. And let's add one more container. Stretch it to take the complete space. And I can make this container to actually fade in so that now we have both the layers of fade out and fade in. Okay. And because we wanted things to be visible at 50 and we pushed fade outs to start from 60, let's give it a -10 so that it is actually visible until we reach 40. So 40 means the 40% of the screen. So once you reach the 40% of the screen, it's going to be completely visible. And once you reach the 60% of height of the scroll of the screen, when this item reaches the 60%, it's going to start to fade out. And we give it a black. And now let's start adding some text. I can make it white. And I can now start playing with some of the sizings according to what we really like. Okay. And I think we need a couple lines of text so that it works out well. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 lines should be good. So I'm going to write some random text here. And I probably keep it to hug so that I don't have to shift around things again and again. Just ignore what I'm writing. I'm just writing anything that's coming to my head. Okay. Now, I actually need this to be in a very dark tone so that it's hardly visible. And I think this color looks good. Maybe I can make it a little more dark. Okay, this looks fine. And I'll just quickly duplicate this text. And so that it's visible to me, I'll make it wide. We anyways need this into white. And I'm just quickly going to copy the text that we have here and paste it so that we have the same amount of text across all the repeater items. Okay. We'll just give it the same placement so that it sits exactly upon the text that we had. Now, to add a reveal animation on scroll, you remember we left a space for 40 to 60, and we need things to be visible when it's at 50. What we can do is on scroll, we can add a reveal animation and maybe keep it around exactly between the things. So 40 to 60, and we can keep things like 45 to 55. That will be like exact in the middle. So when things are at 45 to 55, we actually see the text gliding in. Now, there are a few things in this to the level of customization or to the level of feel that you want to add into the animation. I'll just quickly make some spacing edits here first so that it looks a little good to the eyes. And probably you don't want to add an animation of this sorts in the very first section. So I'll just quickly add a second section and make it black. You don't want to add these into the first section because, things in first section, if I turn on this, you already see that things are already way forward. So you might want to do text reveal animations starting from the second section and can just go as below, just not the first section. It's not a very good place to start with these sort of animations. Okay. If it was in the first section, I would not be adding scroll in animation, but there would be only out animations regarding on what position they're already in, and I'd probably not use a repeater in that case. So let's give it some space to play. And I'll just quickly Control X, the repeater. I'll just quickly cut the repeater from here. Okay, it's not. Maybe I'll shift it. Okay. Cool. So we just quickly preview this and see how it looks. Okay, we didn't change the direction for the reveal animation, but you can already see it's working to the sorts that we really wanted to. So let's quickly change the direction of the reveal animation and make it come from left. And then we'll talk about the polishings that we can do in this animation to make it look in a certain way. Okay. Yeah, so we've got it running. Exactly like it? No, not exactly like it. You can see that here the text fades out really before and it fades in really late in the scene so that, the complete interest is in the visual that is in the middle of the screen. So to do that, what we can actually do is we just need to play around with the animation that's fading in and fading out. So it's about the starting points and the end points. So for the fade out, what I can do is I can make it fade out earlier when it's about 70. So it's 60 to 70. And for the fade ins, we can make it, it's a 40, we can make it 30 so that it's more focused on the middle part. Okay, you can see it now more focused on the middle part, and it starts from here now and it ends about here. Okay, so yeah, that's how we actually made this specific animation. It's just the text size we can play around with. It's not only that you can do this, but actually using this sort of techniques, you can play around with a lot of different animations. Like instead of revealing it, you could have made it with shatters, and I could have made it like 40 to 55. Okay, it was 45 to 55, but let's make it 30 and let's make it come from left. And you'll see how the animation now completely changes it, completely changes the feel of the animation. See that? It's a completely different thing now from what we have earlier. And you can just keep playing around with all sort of different animations that Wix has. So yeah, this was the very first animation. Do we have anything in the chat, or?
We have a question here. Hopefully you can hear me. Are these percentages, are the percentages are relative to viewport height? Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
And a number, two questions here about mobile. You know, a lot of users are using these sites on their mobile devices. Can you talk about, you know, making this mobile responsive, or is it mobile responsive out of the box?
Well, not quite out of the box. You can see it all shrinks down because it by default has scale proportionality applied to it, but it's a normal repeater. The reason I chose repeater was I really don't want to, you know, keep doing the manual changes to each and every text all the time. So I can just quickly make it responsive for you guys. It will hardly take some time. So I just need to change the text that we have here. Like, let's make it 18, or let's make it say, and go into the layers, change this to 20. And I mean, you can have exact whatever size you really want, but just to show it to you that it is responsive. And yeah, see it here. Obviously, the sizes do change on the mobile. As you can see, if I inspect this and turn it to mobile, yeah, we've got different animation. Oh, we did use a little different animation here, but let me make this completely responsive for you guys. You could probably also do one more thing, that you can actually, though this is responsive, this looks very good to go, but yeah. But talking from a very style or aesthetic point of view, if you really want to make huge customizations to it, and you want to really change the number of lines, or you really want to adjust the text that is there in the first line and the second line, what you can probably do, or what I usually do in that case is I just turn off the display IDs, give it the name desktop repeater, and I'll probably duplicate this and name the duplicated item to mobile repeater. And I'll just hide the desktop repeater. And with the mobile repeater, I can make the changes that I'm really looking for. Maybe I just want, hi, my name can't be here. I can just delete this text, add a couple lines of more text to suit the needs of mobile. And that's how we can really adjust around some responsiveness. Hardly takes like 5-10 more minutes to adjust this part. I hope I kind of solved the question. Was it?
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you.
Okay. So we might want to get on to a more interesting visual, that is this part, how we actually implemented this sort of animation. And to do this, we actually need to use a custom element, though there's no code involved in this, but there's a certain server URL link that you need to paste these animations. So I'll just quickly grab, okay, there's a question that I want to ask to the people in the chat, and I really want you guys to actually respond to this. Should we recreate this animation from scratch in Unicorn Studio and then implement this on Wix? Or we just want to bring any asset from the Unicorn Studio and you just want me to implement this directly in Wix without creating it from scratch?
We're getting a couple recreate
From scratch?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay, cool. So I'll quickly open my Unicorn Studio dashboard. Right, okay. And we'll create a new project. And this is how Unicorn Studio looks. If people you have Unicorn Studio access, that's really cool. But it's in private beta right now, so I understand if you don't have the access, but probably by next year it's going to be more open source. More people are going to get access. If you don't really know about what Unicorn Studio is, it allows you to do complex WebGL animations without a single line of code. So WebGL animations are really hard to make when you code them, but you can do a couple of things in Unicorn Studio without code. So Unicorn Studio also has this really cool feature where they actually let you import a SVG and turn it into a 3D item like really quickly. I can show it to you how quickly they do it. And if you see, I've already uploaded a couple of things here. And this is the Coin Plans logo. Let's do it with this one only, I guess, or maybe something else. Okay, I'll just click this shape. Oops. Okay, yeah, just click this shape. It's going to take, and it's already turned the SVG into 3D. And if you see this play button, I see it in the layers and here as well. If I click this, it's going to start rotating in its place. Now we can make a couple of adjustments to the 3D item. Every time you click any of the layers in Unicorn Studio, it's going to have its completely different settings here in the right. So let's first adjust the 3D how we want it. And I just want the frenzy to be, what color are we going to play with today? Let's play with maybe green color, because today is Wednesday. And yeah, I'll make the frenzy very dark green. Right now it's almost not visible, but it'll soon be visible when I add a ring light near it. Okay, so I can keep going on playing with these things. I can show you the roughness. Maybe I'll make it a little lighter so that I can see that change is happening. Maybe white is good. I can also add a couple of shapes into this. I can scale them. It's like really customizable. I can choose the refract and reflect. You won't see any major changes because we don't have a source of light here. But let's add one. So these are different effects that you have in Unicorn Studios. You can create really cool things with them. So now let's add a beam and change it into a ring light, like the one that we have in the Coin Plans website. And let's bring it down so that it's behind the 3D shape. If I actually make it play, you can see that it starts animating in a round way. So let's bring it back. And you can see it's already started reflecting on the 3D thing. So now if I make changes to this, you can see it reflects the light in a very different way. It's actually refracting it. I can add dispersion to it. I can maybe turn off the roughness, and I can just keep playing around with it. There's so many settings. I suggest you do apply to Unicorn Studio, and once you get access to play around with this, this is really cool. And let's change the color of the light to maybe red. Cool. And I don't see anything else to actually play around with right now. Maybe you can adjust the size and make it scale a little bigger. Now you can see light reflects in a very different way because the source of light is in a different angle for the 3D piece. And I can actually add a couple more animations to it if I wanted. I can add axis tilt, so now it reacts to my mouse. I can also add track mouse, so now it follows my mouse. But let's not go very crazy right now. And let's quickly export and click on embed. It's going to take a second and update it. So I've got production mode. Normally you won't have production mode until you get the premium version for Unicorn Studio. But anyways, I'm not going to use production mode right now. There are a couple different modes that you can use in Unicorn Studio. One of them is production mode. One of them is like really normal. And one of them is preview mode. Now, apparently, even though I have production mode on Coin Plans' website, we've actually used the preview mode. So with the preview mode, what happens is I get to see the changes at the very instant that I'm making them on my site as well. Or else if I'm using production mode, it kind of takes a couple minutes to update the thing on the server and then it gets back to my website. Okay, I think I did not add one more thing that people might really like and is one of the highlights on the compliance website is the mouse trail animation, the kind of distortion that happens on the mouse. So we can just add mouse trail for that. And you can see it's already doing some things here. But let's say I don't want it to do anything to the beam. Now I can actually make this go. Okay, so it doesn't go into 3D. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's make it noise displays, the kind of animation that we used for coin clients. And yeah, that's it. So it's actually made in Unicorn Studio, and I can play around with the tail. So if I make it like really large, it's going to take a while to get back into its place. But yeah, it's something that you guys need to explore. And we'll keep it like really quick. And let's export and update this so that it's updated while we implement this in Wix. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do this. You can copy either of them and embed this as an iframe, but I really don't suggest that you use iframe because one, this is not the best way to integrate it. And second, it's not going to be that, responsive to the complete website. So if I add an iframe is like a completely different element, and it's only going to react to things that is in the iframe. For this particular animation, it's not a very big deal because I'm not making the thing actually scroll along with me. But I suggest you do a custom element because it also loads very fast compared to an iframe. Okay. So to implement this in Wix, you just need to click on plus, go to Embed and Social, and drag a custom element out here. Now, there's nothing to freak out with this. There's no code involved, I promise you. So to do this, we need to choose a source. And in here, we actually need to add a line that I also don't remember, so I will just have it pasted with me all the time, and I just refer to this. I'll be sure. Do we need this link, guys? Please respond in the chat. If you do, I'll have maybe Art send this to you guys so that you can easily implement this on Wix when you're using Unicorn Studio. So let's update this. And we need to update the tag name as well. And the tag name needs to be unicorn-studio-embed. And we just write it. You can't change these two things. You just need to have them as it is. And that's how it's going to actually work. Let's see if it actually updated. Yeah. So now I need to set the attribute and give it the project ID. It's just you keep it the same because it's what there in the Unicorn Studio as well. And this is the project ID that you need to copy and enter each other values. Now, you remember I mentioned production mode, normal mode, and preview mode. And the one that we're going to be using is preview mode. So you just need to write question mark, preview is equals to true, and set it. Now, once you do that, you'll see your animation here beside Wix Studio, and it's completely responsive. I changed the size of the custom element, and it changes with it. So I'll just make it into the center and make it like height and the edge. And maybe adjust change to quality up like 100 pixels or maybe 120 pixels and publish this. Now I know there are little cuts here. I have not completely blended this animation in Unicorn Studio, but it's just to show you guys quickly how I can implement this. And if I open the link now, See how fast it actually loaded on the site as well. I just click the link and it's just there. So it's completely working. And even if I go to the mobile version, it's it works on mobile as well. So it's not working right now because I have a mouse. But if you do it with your fingers, you can test it out on the on the Conplans website. It's actually responsive and actually reacts to your fingers as well. So you don't have to lose the animation functionality on mobile, and you can keep the experience maintained over there. So yeah, this is the very cool animations that you can do through Unicorn Studio on Wix Studio. So yeah, two animations down. Art, do we have any questions about this one?
There's one here. It says, so you're clarifying Unicorn Studio's purpose is to turn a 2D SVG file into 3D. Is that correct?
Well, it's not its sole purpose to turn SVG into 3D. It's just one of the functions that Unicorn Studio has. But Unicorn Studio's core function is to allow you to do complex WebGL animations without a single line of code. So you see these kind of filters, these are the animations that they provide. And these are complex WebGL animations that you really need to code. And yeah, this is the sole thing that Unicorn Studio focuses on doing. Turning SVG into 3D is one of the features of them. Yeah.
Awesome. There's two questions related to this that just came in. How does Unicorn Studio pricing work?
Well, right now, if you're already there in private beta, or you kind of managed to get in there, it's cheap, like $8 or something. But yeah.
Another question here. Do you have any recommendations or tips for different browsers or operating systems regarding these applications?
Well, there's no such preferences, but yeah, as a designer, I prefer Arc because I really like the way this browser works. So the browser that I'm working right now, it's Arc, Arc. You can search it up. It's a really cool browser.
Awesome. Another question regarding Unicorn Studio. Do they have a wait list? I think you said they might, that they're in beta. Do you know if
they're in private beta, they do have a wait list, but I suggest you join it. And it's kind of in a private beta right now, but I know the founder, and I think he mentioned it's going to be in an open beta in January 2025. So I think you should definitely apply for it. It's a really cool tool.
Awesome. Another question is, can you use Unicorn Studio on a mobile phone?
No, you can't. I mean,
you can't use
make the edits, you can't.
To make the edits, you can't, but the animations.
The animations that you make on it and implement it on the site, they do work on mobile, yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
Cool. Okay, so I think I'm going to open up one last animation that we can quickly create. And it's again from the Conplans website. And it's these three lines. If you look at them closely, they kind of have those lights moving around with them. And how we actually did this one was kind of simple. It looks really cool, but the way to make this is really, really simple though. So to make this, I really need to create one specific asset inside Figma first. And I'll just quickly make it. I just need a circle, quick circle. I'll just remove the fill, add a stroke with about some thick strokes, and we can change the color for the strokes and make it into a gradient so that when we actually spin this around and make it oversized, we see the colors changing. I can add about 3 colors so that there's a little variety. And let's make it blue and a really vivid color so that we see it really changing on that. Okay. Let's make it into an SVG so that it's really compact in size and really easy to implement. And I just bring in this inside the media. Okay. Yeah, instead. So now what I can do is I can quickly scale this up like this, or I can just log the aspect ratios and make it like really, really huge. But before I start doing that, I need to select the section. And so that, afterwards, I don't have to face issues with scroll bars on the bottom that, pan to the left more than what the page needs to be. I'll just quickly hide the overflow content so that when we make the circle like really huge, it just hides whatever is out of the section. And I'll make it like really huge. Let's make it 1,000 pixels, or maybe 1,000. Oops. Yeah. This is really big, the kind of that we need. And I think I by mistakenly added it to the header. Okay. Let's make it go down. And scroll it to the place that we want. Now I can just duplicate this, add it like this, duplicate this, add it like this, to whatever positions I really want. And I can now open the layers panel so that it's easy to select them. This is the first one that we added. This is the second one that we add. And this is the third one that we duplicated. I quickly select the first one, go to the animations panel and spin it on a loop. Now, the thing here is to play with the timings so that all the different 3 lines have the colors changing at different timings. So I'll make it, let's say 10 seconds to complete one rotation. And because it's the outermost circle, it's going to take the most time. That would make the most sense according to the laws of physics as well. So a little bit of maths, I'm really not good with it, but yeah, it's common. So I'll make it spin, and this time let's keep it at 7, and I'll make it spin again. And this time, let's -3, so 4. And now if I preview this, okay, you can see the colors changing at different times here. And this looks really cool. So you can just play with the stroke of the circle. You can just play with the positions of the circle. Not fairly circle, you can also play around with the shapes and really create something cool. It really depends on the kind of project that you're working on, the kind of aesthetics you're looking for, and the kind of communication that you want to do with the audience. So to show you, this is, again, responsive. You just need to adjust the sizes and the position. So if I make it like this and need to make it selectable, I can bring the here, select the third one to come right here. And I can see it works perfectly fine on mobile as well. Just need to play around with the sizes. So yeah, that's the third animation. Do we have something?
Let's see, there's a question here from Rhea. Are there any additional technical requirements for this? An example would be higher GPU for processing speed. Have you seen concerns when sharing with others who do not have a powerful GPU?
Are we talking about the Newborn Studio animation here for the GPU powers? Fairly, no, you won't read a very high GPU power for Unicorn Studio, neither for this one. It works on almost all the devices really well, until the computer and the audience or the viewer is using is like very, very old. So yeah, normally it will work out on 99% of the devices. And even Unicorn Studio is not so heavy until you're doing something as crazy as the first Chain Labs website that I showed you. I don't think you need to worry about the GPU processing powers.
Perfect. Awesome. Any other questions from anyone? All right. Well, if there's no other questions, then that pretty much wraps this up. we saw 3 very distinct and cool animations built within Rick Studio.
See a question in the chat. Amanda is asking, is there an alternative to Unicorn Studio? Yeah, there is actually an alternative tool. Not fairly to say an alternative, but this tool is something like Unicorn Studio and you can use it. I can quickly maybe show you and share my screen. Okay. So this tool is called HeroKit Design, and it's again a no-code animation builder like a thing. I used it in the very start when this came out and was launched, but I kind of fairly stick to Unicorn Studio right now because Unicorn Studio has more customization options. But I do understand why you asked this question because it's not available to masses right now. You should definitely apply for the waitlist though, but let's quickly sign in into this. So the link is actually called HeroKit.design, and you can just click on create new hero here. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little more time here, but
You're all good?
it seems that HeroKit.design is working a little slow. But anyways, I think we can leave the link to the people afterwards so that everybody can check out. So in short, yes, HeroKit.design is a good alternative to Unicorn Studio. It's just not loading on my end as well. I can maybe leave the link in the chat for you guys as well now.
Perfect. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I learned a lot. I'm definitely inspired by this. Some things that I didn't know were possible. I think that everyone else learned a lot as well. Yeah, thank you for your time, and thank you so much for being part of the No Code Devs community. One last thing I want to say is if you haven't joined our community already, make sure you do so. It's a great community. We share all kinds of tips and tricks for Wix Studio, but also other tools. So check us out, No Code Devs. You can find a community link on our website. So if you're not a member of that community, go ahead and apply. We'll let you right in, and we hope to see you there. You can also find our other events there as well. So yeah, thank you so much again. This was really great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See you, everyone.